Have
All
fun.
right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to BizzTalk. Very excited today for what we have. Today we have Magnus Leppäniemi. I hope I'm saying that right, Magnus. Correct me if I'm off.
Hi, Jason. Nice to meet you, and thanks for having me. You're doing right. I would say you're better
Ah,
than most Swedish people doing that. So I think
oh, okay.
the only people get it right is the Finnish people. But as I said, they know what it is. So you did a good
Perfect.
job. Yeah.
Awesome. Glad I could do that. Really excited to have Magnus today. Magnus is the executive vice president for Esports Entertainment Group, which is publicly traded on the Nasdaq, which is pretty cool for an esport company. Hopefully, we'll probably see more esports companies go public here in the near future, but for now, he's one of the few. But also, Magnus has a long career in the esports and gaming industry, and also events. Used to be at DreamHack, if I'm correct. And anyways, Magnus, if you could take maybe just like 2 minutes, tell our audience a little bit about you, and that way they can kind of understand your perspective and where you're coming from as we continue the conversation.
I mean, I think you mentioned that. As I said, I've been working in gaming for a long time, and I think it's been on different roles, everything from marketing managers to sales manager and all that part within the gaming on the distribution side and also on the publisher side. But I think the whole esports started when I joined DreamHack in 2013. So that's a pretty long time ago in this space. And DreamHack
Yeah.
was, I think I was number 14 into the company there. So and I would say it was a wild ride for those 6 years that I was with the company. I mean, it took us from, I think it was 5 events to actually going to, when I left, it was 17 events. So that growth was amazing. And I would say, as Stefan, one guy who hired me, was my boss, also said, Magnus, when you join, no day is going to be like the other one. Everything's going to be new all the time. And it truly was a new things happening all day. So that was crazy. So that was good. So I mean, started as a account manager at DreamHack and joining to be run with the publisher side on that. But also, I think pretty soon we saw that. I mean, I start traveling and bringing out the DreamHack word out there, and you saw that the DreamHack had a really strong, what do you call brand awareness. People know DreamHack. They have seen it on Twitch or take TV or Twitch and all that, and see the tournaments. Are really happy about that. And so coming to the US, talking about we want to start an event in the US, people went really happy and like excited about coming that. So that was great. So taking that first event to the US in 2016, and that was crazy. I mean, we did the one event in Austin the first year. It was an amazing event. We did 2017, we did 3 events. So we went from 1 to 3 in the US. Crazy. And as I said, I think we did that 2017. I think we did back-to-back events almost every weekend that summer. People really going at it, but it was fun. I mean, being at an event, you learn so much, and you have to be. A lot of things happens. A lot of things you plan for a lot of things, but not everything goes as you think it's going to be going. And I think that's the beauty of events, is that you need to be able to change directions or take decisions on the fly there. So, and I mean, working with Marcus Lindmark is the CEO of DreamHack, or Christopher Melin. I learned tons of things from those guys. I mean, how they handle events, how they got that, what do you call it? Let's do attitude. Let's make that happen. Let's do that. I would like that. And also, of course, there's several other people there that made the time at DreamHack amazing. It was one of the best time, definitely one of the best times to be there also. And after that, I actually left to join the WeHype, and there's an influencer agency out of Uppsala, a little bit north of Stockholm here. I was there for 9 months there. But then Grant, who I know is a couple of years back, who started Esports Entertainment, came back to me and said, "Hey man, it's time for you to join the Esports Entertainment Group, and this is what we're doing." And I feel like, yeah, can't miss on that opportunity.
No.
And I would say I've been there almost 4 months. And I mean, if it was crazy at DreamHack, this is hyper level crazy right now with what's happening and doing there. And I think people seeing us a little bit for the things we've done with the YGG brand, the esports betting brand, but also I would say we bought a tournament platform. We launched a partnership with LA Kings and LA Galaxy, and I would say the things we have in the pipeline doing right now, it's coming for a couple of next weeks. It's going to go a lot of news out of Esports Entertainment Group there. So we're working a lot of things on right now.
That's excellent. And I'm obviously being publicly traded. I'm sure there's only so much that you can share before the news hits the airwaves, right?
Yeah, correct. I'm trying to say nothing.
I know.
Nothing. You can't. Nobody can actually say that. You can't. Oh, you told that. You're like, okay, let's say as little as possible, close to nothing. It's like, don't do anything.
That's right. No, that's I totally get it. Which it's interesting. It seems like esports right now is kind of, I would say as an industry, it's still trying to figure out where to go from here with COVID. But it seems like at Esports Entertainment Group, you guys have kind of figured out a way to keep being moving forward, being profitable, and that's do you want to maybe talk a little bit about that? Just kind of how you guys have adapted to the new environment?
Yeah, I can do that. As I said, we hired Jeff Cohen as an analyst from Stevens Bank, who joined us there, and also he's been looking at what we call the 3-pillar strategy here. What we're doing, and we have 3 pillars that we're actually making money off. One is the esport betting, and that's where we have the ByGG brand. And that's which we developing new products there. As I said, give us a few weeks. It's going to come products out of that. Not just that betting, but we have some more other products coming out of that.
Excellent.
The next one is esports entertainment, what we call that, and that's where we bought the tournament platform from EGL, who can run tournaments for us, and that's what we're using to run the tournaments with the LA Kings and the Galaxies. I mean, if you look at what traditional sports is right now, it's been a standstill, or there's like everybody, it's happening in a bubble. These clubs need to interact with their friends because they're the fans. They don't have any events to go to. There's no matches. They need to do that. And I think we can provide that with esports. This own esport was running during the pandemic. And now it's a way for them to create fan engagement and being there. And also not providing, I would say, engagement, but also out of the box or things you can buy for. If you play in a tournament, you can actually win a season pass, or you can actually meet you can meet with one of the star players and play some video games with him at the players lounge after a game. Those kind of things you can't buy, or sign jerseys or those kind of things. So that's a cool thing. And also the third pillar is the traditional iBetting companies, where we actually bought a company in the UK called Argyle that has a brand called Sports Nation. So those are the 3 pillars that we are working on that makes us make money. And right now it's the iGaming where we have the revenue and the coming that way. I really think esports is going to be a little bit longer before we get those profitable. But I think we can see that coming, but it takes a little bit longer compared to the iBetting that has been a mature market.
Absolutely. And kind of building off of that, esports, especially, you've been a part of the industry for a very long time, like you were saying with DreamHack all the way back to 2013. And, events was a big driver of esports. I mean, it has been the biggest driver probably. Yeah. Obviously, streaming is popular, and streaming is an aspect of esports, but true esports is really event driven. But now 2020, events are, obviously, diminished. There's a lot less events. They're trying to go virtual. Yeah. How does esports adapt to this fully virtual events environment? Because it's obviously there's some issues there that need to be overcome. But I mean, in your opinion, how does the industry really build off of this change from an event perspective?
Yeah, I mean, let me start by saying, God, I miss events. I want to go to esports.
I know.
Where's my DreamHack event? Where's my ESL tournaments going there? God, I miss that. Meet people, hang around, watch esport, all that. When is that coming back? I miss that. Please, COVID, go away. I want my events to go there. Please.
Someday we'll get some of that back. Some of it.
Yeah. It's itching a little bit there. I want to go there. Let's do it. No, but I think as I said, esport, I think it's trying to find ways to without having events. How can we do that? I think
Right.
a lot of things we've seen as for tournament wise, it seems like usually the tournament was for like Tuesday to Sunday. Now if you look at tournaments, they're on for 3 or 4 weeks. So they actually prolong that. So maybe I'm not sure if that's the right way. I understand why they do it and why you want to have more content coming out and more eyeballs and all that. But I think esports is still trying to find the ways how to set up the events. How can we replace that? I don't see, if you look at other, not just esport event, but say networking or trade shows like that, how do you put that in an event in a digital way? I think there's no really app that has that can that takes that, even if it's Zoom meeting is something that a lot of people using it doesn't really work there. I think there's missing something in there. But I think for esports is trying to find a way how to find something that people can meet digital, but still feel like you are sitting in a conversation there. I think all the meetings and as Diva started, it's like, can you hear me? Can you see me? That's something. It's 2020, and that's the first question. Can you hear me? Can you see me? So
Right.
I think there's still some ways that this needs to go, and I'm not 100% sure what that could be and what's happening out there. But I think there's a way that the esport needs to find a way to get the people back and feel more event-wise. I know I saw what DreamHack has done for the DreamHack Open right now. I think that's a cool thing with they build that stadium and a digital stadium there, what they're doing. I think that's a cool one, and it's a way to actually enhance the experience.
Absolutely. Would you say that the industry is missing? Is it a strategy that's missing, or is it that there's technology missing? Like there's a platform play out there that just hasn't really taken off yet that would really make the difference in the meantime. What do you think?
I think it's both. I think it lacks some strategy how to do that, but I think the technical platform isn't there. I haven't seen anything that I feel is that the platform they feel that you actually meeting or you can interact. It feels like, I mean, I talk to friends that goes to these events, and I think everything I heard that technology or their product they used wasn't good. That doesn't work. The connections didn't work. I couldn't find the people I want to talk to. It's hard to network with people on that way. And I think that's something that code hasn't really been working on that as you wanted that to be. So I think it's technical, but also the strategy how to build up the event and doing that hasn't been done properly either. I think what Esport Bar is doing, the one-on-one meetings and set it up, I think that's working. But as I said, I love those ones when you can actually meet physical instead. But sometimes we need to find ways around that.
Absolutely. Now, would you say that the strategy portion is the responsibility to figure that out? Is that on the organizers, or is it maybe on the teams to figure out the strategy on how to make that work?
I think it's the organizations that those guys who put up the events. Those are the ones who are responsible for that. Find that, build the event, doing that. I think that's how I see it. Maybe what's your view on that one?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that if organizers are unwilling to adapt to this new environment and make something happen, that for the sake of the industry, I think some of the teams and individual organizations need to band together and figure something out that works, if that makes sense. Because, some of these event organizers have been doing things the same way for a very long time. And especially if they're a larger organization, it's very hard to pivot. Right? It's hard to say, okay, I know we've been doing it this way, but now as of today, we're doing it this way and we're going to do it and it's going to be great. The larger the organization, the more difficult. So I think that in some cases that it may take, a couple of different teams, backed organizations like FaZe Clan getting some other teams together and saying, we're going to figure out our own solution from a strategy perspective. And obviously technology is going to be driven by the technology companies, the new startups coming into the space that are trying to solve it. A lot of new players in the virtual events platform type space. There no one that's really standing out yet, but certainly we're going to see new technology over the next couple of years. It takes a while to build new stuff, right? It takes money and time.
Money and time.
Money and time.
And nobody thought about COVID-19 is going to come here in 2020
No.
and what do you call it? Make it crazy on the event side and killing that as fast as it did. So, and there wasn't any product out there. I think, as I say, it takes some time to build products, and also you need to test them, and you also need that feedback from the people that are using that. What do you need to do to change this? And as I said, that takes time.
It does. It does. And I'm not an expert in the esports space. Most of my experience has been finance and gaming. But the experience that I do have in esports over the last couple of years, one thing that's good that comes out of COVID is that it kind of forces esports to be more global. It was already a global industry, but it's, the idea of in-person events, there's some logistics there, right? That you have to be there at the event to really be a part of the club, right? Well, yeah. COVID has kind of forced everyone to kind of go outside that box. So there's maybe some new players that are getting attention. When I say players, I mean mostly organizations that are getting attention that wouldn't have gotten it otherwise, because they didn't have the cash to attend some of the big events. Right, but now that it's all digital, maybe they're getting a little bit more exposure. But on the downside, I think that the amount of revenue coming into the industry has really diminished from what it was before. A lot of smaller teams still couldn't adapt to the new changes. So those are kind of my thoughts. But one of the things that I would love your opinion on is, as those things change, I mean, what do organizations, esports organizations like FaZe Clan or teams like Revere Us, or who is it that went public a little bit ago, Astralis, how do these guys really take advantage of the current environment while still preparing for when the environment goes back to more in-person events? What would be your advice for those organizations?
I mean, if you look at, that's the team sort of organization you're talking about. I mean, I think for them, it's not matter if you have events or not having events. For them, it's how to monetize their audience. And I think that's a $1 million question. How do you monetize the fans, the community you have? Usually, in esports or gaming, a lot of things are free right now. It's Twitch is free, and you get the best content out there. It's free to watch that. You can maybe make a subscription. How do you actually turn around that to make sure that people want to pay for that? I think that's one of the key things. How do you monetize that? Is that if you look at soccer or football, depends which part of the world you are, but look at football. If Barcelona or Juventus actually bought Cristiano Ronaldo, they sold so much jerseys out of that, so they actually financed almost the whole deal in the first couple of weeks, a month, whatever. It went fast. We don't have that sponsorship sales or that merchandise sales in esports. I think that the teams and organizations need to work together actually to make sure that both the teams and the organization can monetize better. Because if you're not the top team, you're tier 2, tier 3. You're not playing for the biggest purse on the tournament. You're not going to be at the Blast Pro, so you're not going to be at the ESL playing for $1 million, whatever. You're going to be a haggle around a little bit, playing maybe for $5,000 or maybe not even for that. So how can I build an ecosystem for the whole organization? I'm not sure what that is. If that's the way of going with what League of Legends are doing, or Riot is doing with League of Legends, teams, franchise, leagues, or if it's the other model where ESL and DreamHack is trying to build something out of that with Counter-Strike. But it needs something, an ecosystem where all can make money out of that. So, and that I'm not sure what that could be. I would love to say that, we've been at the Esports Entertainment Group, as I said, we've been looking at how can we help the industry? How can we be a better part? As we are listed on NASDAQ, we are checked. We have the SEC checking us every day, 24/7, 365. All the regulated companies like the New Jersey Gaming Commission of the Malta has also got access to us 24/7, 365. So we can't do any crazy shit. So we need that. I think, could we be a partner to those guys, take betting to that? I know there's a stigma around betting, but If it's a regulated market, can we then help them to, because people want to bet, and there's some interesting things around betting that creates excitement and engagement within the game. Of course, it needs to be some limits and all those kind of things. Can we help them? And then maybe look at, as I said, can we revenue share with the teams? Can we revenue share with the league? So we actually put money away, let's say, into that league, the same as we are, as say Ubisoft is doing Rainbow Six, where they sell the skins and they're 30% or something like that going to the teams. Can we be a part of that? Can betting be that actually helps that? That would be something, a discussion that we want to have and talk, and that's something we've been having with some of the publishers there that reach out to us and want to say, I mean, I think they want to talk about those kind of things. So I think that could be something that takes away the stigma about betting, but it's still going to be there. Of course, as I say, it needs to be regulated, controlled, so people can't go bananas. But I think there's some enjoyment with that we can help.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I like the kind of the theme of everything you're saying really is these organizations are going to have to expand their idea of what it means to monetize, though. Like clearly they have to go beyond the live event.
Yeah.
And what about the organizers, though? I mean, the organizers, I mean, you probably have a better insight on this from your time at DreamHack, but I have to imagine the organizers are driving most of the revenue, not just from ticket sales, but from sponsorships and from exhibitors, that kind of thing. And how are they supposed to monetize and survive during this time? How do they adapt?
I mean, for tournament organizations, ticket sales is actually, I think, number 3 or number 4 on the list. Number 1 is sponsorship, of course. Sponsorship right. Coming in. Media rights is the second one. I would say you're selling the content they have, if that's to Twitch or that's like to linear TV or anything like that. That's the second one, and then you have ticket sales. So I think they're trying to do a good job. And sponsorship, I think there's a lot of ways you can do more and expand that part than just right now. It feels like a little bit of logo placements, logo slapping there. There's a logo. It's like, hey, that's what it's selling. I think you can add more content. You can create more of engagement that they can actually charge more for them, because I think a logo on the backdrop, that's pretty, about how much that's going to cost. You know how much that's going to give, but can you create content that can live on different channels and create engagement? I think that's something they can actually charge more for than just having that logo slapping, so to say. Because as I said, coming in from my side as being a buyer right now on media, look, that's what we're looking at. How can we get content and we can put our side that we're willing to pay for? Because the logo's going to be coming second one, because if you're just placing logos, nobody's going to see that. It's like, I've seen that before, nothing, I don't do it. But if you create content and then the logo is just going to enhance that part, then it makes sense.
Absolutely. Okay.
So creating more content, creating things that can live on different parts is going to be that way. That's how I see they can take the sponsor revenue. Then when it comes to media rights, of course, I think that's growing. I mean, there's more and more people that want to watch esports in different channels and all that. So I think they can do that. And when it comes to ticket sales, I think it comes to, then it's back to the live events. How can we sell that? But I know DreamHack, when I was there, we were looking at how can we create some kind of digital experience going to the events. Even if you can't go to, if I'm based out of Stockholm, I can't go to the DreamHack in Dallas, but can I somehow have a digital pass? Can I somehow be a part of that? And that was really interesting discussions that we have there. And I'm not sure if they continue those or what is happening, but I think that's the next way. How can I be in Sweden and then but still feel like I'm at DreamHack Dallas, maybe participate in LAN tournaments, or go watching the concert, whatever. How can I do that and get that? That's something I think is that virtual VR or whatever, something else, I don't know, AR, whatever. I think that's also a way to enhance experience, but also be able to charge something actually more.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, that there's definitely some technology missing there to really capture that experience, but the opportunity's there, certainly.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of the biggest deterrents and obstacles facing the esports industry is just stable connection, right? Bandwidth, because if depending on where you live, right now we've got, especially in the U.S., some parts of the U.S., all children are doing school from home, right? And they have to do Zoom calls. Could you imagine trying to do an online tournament in in a place like Seattle where everybody is using Zoom for school, and you're just at the mercy, right, of the bandwidth, versus someone in I don't know, somewhere else where the bandwidth's not taken up. So there's definitely some obstacles, but I think that those are problems that can be solved.
Sorry. As I said, for that bandwidth thing, I mean, isn't 5G supposed to be that that coming will solve that problem? Because I think that's what a lot of talks has been. 5G will be that takes gaming out of to be mobile connections instead. You can game on that one. You need that that's fiber connection that gives you the 1 terabyte. You can actually do it on the phone instead, or 5G connections, and that which may also expand when 5G is built out. You can actually expand it out to the parts of the world that doesn't have the LAN connection, so to say. So that's my idea. That's what everybody's telling me. 5G is going to solve that problem. So let's see if that's the case. I hope so. I hope Verizon or AT&T or who has that, or Telia in Sweden, will make sure that it's up and running as fast as possible.
Absolutely, and that's the theory, right? The theory and the hope is that 5G solves that, and if it does, I think esports is going to experience some massive growth. I mean, just huge growth. And also from places, like you said, that maybe don't normally have the LAN connection. One of the places that I know there's a very large growing esports community is in Africa. And, which traditionally over the, since esports has really become popular, they really haven't been that involved in the esports industry, but now it's growing. And if 5G allows them to connect the same way that we do, and like we do here in the U.S. or Sweden, where there's already a large infrastructure for internet, that could be really interesting.
But that's why I think also, if you look, I mean, right now I'm based in Europe, you're based in North America. We look at the esports, it's a PC-driven thing. Mobile esports, I mean, as I said, in Africa, or you're going to talk in Latin America or in Asia, mobile esport is coming. I mean, look what a company like ESPL is doing over there. Started this year in January, built it 16 countries. Mobile tournaments, that's huge. I think that's something we're missing out there. We're so focused into esport has to be PC, it has to be like Counter-Strike, League of Legends, but PUBG Mobile, Fortnite, you have all Arena, Valor, so many games actually out there. Garena, Free Fire. It's crazy how much actually, I mean, how good these games are. It's not just that Candy Crush game. It's actually a good game you can play and enjoy. And I mean, Call of Duty Mobile, for me, that's one of the best games out there. And I think it is competitive. You can play on that. So mobile esport is something that I think is going to grow. But it's going to come from those, as I said, Africa, Latin America, Asia, that's going to build that, because they don't have the, it's not that common to have that PC rig in your own room building that, because that's not how it looks like there. So
exactly. I love that you mentioned that. I love that you mentioned mobile, because I agree. I think you're right. I think we're going to see some cool things. So, but hey, Magnus, we're pretty much at our time here, but I guess my last question to you would be if you could just leave the audience with some thoughts. A lot of new startup organizations in esports, a lot of people trying to get a team off the ground or take advantage of, this kind of lull in the industry, but it's going to come back. What would be your number one piece of advice to a new esports organization in this current environment? What would be your number one piece of advice for them?
I mean, make money.
Make money.
But when I say that, usually I would say a lot of things with esports or tournament has been, I mean, driven by a passionate people that come in and it's a barter deals and people just jump in to help. You need to learn to monetize what you're doing, and when you try to monetize, you need to present the product that actually the sponsors want to buy. You need to give them value for that. So it's not just coming in and say, let's do a barter deal and we can get you some keyboard headset and keyboard and headsets and whatever mice, but it's because it's going to be hard when you go to the store and say, hey, can I do a barter deal? I got a headset here. Do you want to buy that? That's not going to work. You need to make that. I think you need to start trying. You need to monetize, but to be able to do that, you need to build a product that sell, and you need to do it. I would say package that so the sponsors actually look at that product. So learn how to monetize on the audience that you have.
I think that's fantastic advice.
If that's advice, yeah, maybe, yeah. I would
say
it
is. It is. I was just having this conversation with someone the other day that the biggest challenge facing esports right now is just cash flow, right? It's just, you know, we're cash flow to organizations, and some organizations haven't quite cracked the code on getting the cash flow into the organization. So I think that's fantastic advice. And a lot of people don't think that way.
No, but also as I say, I think it's when you say cash flow, I also can see it. I mean, looking at how does the teams get paid, how long does that take, how do actually money flow that way, and that's where I say now we're also looking at. I think that's also where I've seen a lot of startups coming in that way, what they're doing there, and there's a price money. I think the company is called Price Money, missing that part. That's they done a lot of good things there also, and there's a company called Charge in Sweden, Charge.eg, that also works on that one, how to make sure that the players get paid and also make sure that they get it in time and not have to wait for 90 days. That's also a thing. That cash flow, as I say, it takes 90 days to get the prize money. That's 3 months. It's a lot of tournaments, a lot of people need to get paid, and that. So I think that's where there's a lot of things, interesting things that can happen, and make sure the ecosystem also works better. Because 90 days, if you win something or get paid, it's going to take you 90 days. I mean, I can go to myself.
A long time, man.
Jesus.
90 days is just enough time to go homeless.
Correct. It is. I start selling my house.
That's right.
Can I sell my clothes? You want to buy a shirt?
I like that. I think that's really, really good advice, especially, you know, given your experience in the industry, what you're doing right now with the Esports Entertainment Group, and kind of having that broader top-down vision. I mean, yeah, monetization, cash flow, that's great advice, Magnus. Thank you. And Magnus, thanks again for being here. It's always a pleasure having you on with any of these things with BizzTech or BizzTalk or whatever. Just always enjoy talking to you. So.
You're a good host, Jason.
Oh,
that's the thing. It's so easy to be with you and talk to you, and so that's fine. So thanks for having me again. It's always a pleasure to be with you, join you on all these video calls.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you, Magnus. And see you again next time.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.